My name is Chris Barras, and I identify as. You're wondering what I'm going to say next, aren't you? It's interesting that that sentence, I identify as, is a kind of a new one, right? Like 10 years ago, if I had gotten up here and said I identify as, everybody would be like, what are you talking about? Nobody says that. Because 10 years ago, nobody said that, right? It has become a go-to phrase that we use to say all sorts of things. I identify as, and it could be gender, it could be a race thing, it could be, I saw someone on Twitter the other day say, I identify as exhausted, which I also identify as exhausted, so I get that one. And I thought about that phrase because we use it a lot. When we say I identify as, we are trying to say something about our identity. And really, another way of saying that is when we say I identify as, we are saying I am. I am this particular thing, whatever that thing is. And I think we have a bit of an identity challenge in our culture. We talk about identity politics, but I think really that's just another name for an identity crisis that we're having as a culture right now, where people are struggling with who they are, and they're struggling how to articulate who they are. And because identity is so important to Americans in particular right now, because it's so important to who we are, man, if you insult me or you insult my politics, you've now insulted my core, my identity. You didn't just make fun of my political party, you've made fun of me at my deepest part of my being. And so we end up taking a lot of political things, we end up taking them personally. I mean, a lot of things. We're taking so many things personally that even Michael Jordan thinks we're overdoing it in taking things personally. Like, we're just way over the top with our identity stuff right now as a culture, and it's pretty bizarre. So let me back up a little bit and talk to you about what I think are 5 big myths or lies that we tell ourselves about our identity. These are I am statements, things we say about ourselves that come to us kind of from the culture. We may not always say them out loud, but these are things that we believe that I think they're actually not true, but they're kind of the mainstream beliefs. These come from Henry Nouwen, the Christian writer and thinker. Here's 5 of them. Number 1, I am what I have. So a lot of people believe they are what they own, that I am my stuff. You may not think that, but it's like you get a nice car and you're not just a person who owns a nice car, you are that kind of person who drives that car. I don't just live in that neighborhood, I am the kind of person that lives in that neighborhood. Our stuff quickly becomes our identity. I am the stuff that I have, right? You see that shows up a lot. Another one is, I am what I do. This is very popular in our culture where we like to define ourselves by what we do. It becomes a really big deal. Like, it's probably the second question you ask at a party. Hey, what's your name? Oh, cool. What do you do? Because if I know what you do, I can know all these things about you. Oh, you're an engineer. You must think like this, and you make this kind of money, and you work for this kind of company. Oh, you're a doctor. Yeah, I bet you went to school forever, and you're doing this, and your life is like this. Oh, you're a teacher. Oh, man, that's really hard, and you're not paid enough, and all this. Like, you get all these things that you might assume about someone because what they do is so important to who they are. And if you think, man, what I do doesn't matter that much to who I am, my question would be, if we took away your job tomorrow, who would you be? Is it an employment crisis, or is it something deeper than that, an identity crisis? This is why a lot of people struggle in retirement, is because they've for so long defined themselves by what they do that when that's taken away, they don't know who they are anymore. So I am what I do is another one we tell ourselves. Another one is I am what other people say or think of me. We sort of let other people define who we are. And I've seen this goes deep for people. I meet with a group of men, and we went around and kind of told our spiritual story going all the way back to childhood. And it amazed me how many men in several groups that I talked to, how many men define themselves by something an administrator or a teacher said to them in like 3rd grade or like middle school or something. For better or worse. Sometimes it was a good thing, sometimes it was they told me I was this and I acted out against that, and I just became, like, I was defined by what a teacher, by what a parent, by what someone else, what they said I was, that's how I defined myself. And a lot of times we do that. I am what they think of me. Another thing that we do is we define ourselves this way. We say, I am nothing more than my worst moment. So you've blown it, and you've messed up, and you've done something terrible in your past. You've got a story. There's some wreckage back there. And it becomes an identity. It becomes, I'm nothing more than that. I was that, and I am that. I got a divorce, therefore I am perpetually a terrible spouse. I was addicted, therefore I'm an addict for the rest of my life. Like I'm all of these things, and we believe these things, that what we once were in our worst moment, it really just defines us for the rest of our lives. And we can kind of get stuck in this cycle of shame around that. Or the opposite of that, a lot of us believe I am nothing less than my best moment. So we have some success, and we believe we are a success. Hey, I did really well, therefore I am good. I achieved something, therefore I basically walk around smelling like achievement. I accomplished, therefore I am like the embodiment of accomplishment. And we believe that we are our successes. I think our culture really reinforces this at all ages. Like, we go over the top as a culture to celebrate people. We tell children from the youngest age, you are amazing, and you are special and unique and incredible, and we celebrate the heck out of our kids. Like, it's weird. Like, okay, celebrate high school graduation. You matriculated through the system, congratulations. Turn the tassel, we're good here. But we have kindergarten graduations now. And come on, you learned your letters. Like, what are we doing? You can write your name. You got your colors down. Like, why are we celebrating this? Why are we celebrating everything? It's weird. I'm old enough to remember when we didn't celebrate a gender reveal party, right? Like, that's a thing. Or if we had a gender reveal party, we did not burn down half of California when we did it, right? Like it's weird how much we celebrate, and it feeds into this culture of achievement, success. You are great, you are awesome, and we start believing that stuff. We believe I've achieved something, therefore that's who I am, sort of perpetually. And I think it's a mistake, and I think we need to actually get a sober judgment of ourselves and to see ourselves more clearly than all of that, and to cut through all the noise of all that and go, okay, who are we really? Let me see if I can give it to you in a clean statement that what I want to build off of this for the rest of our time. This is what I believe. You are not who you say you are. You're not. You're not who they say you are. You are who God says you are. I think that's the truth. Your identity does not come from other people. They don't all define it for you, because if you live by everyone else's opinion of you, there's another word for that. It's called slavery. You are forever responding to how they believe, how they move, how they act, what they say about you, and you have to respond accordingly. You are always in debt to them, and they own you. And so when you live by other people, that's slavery. So modern psychology tells you, okay, that's bad. Don't live by everyone else's opinion. Instead, what do we say? Well, you do you. You go inward to find your identity. You decide who you are. And on the surface, that sounds way better than letting other people decide who you are. In fact, we can do memes for that. We can do like Instagram posts of like, you need to get rid of the haters and cut off all the toxic people from your life. And we say all of that kind of stuff. And we're trying to say, you drive the bus of your identity. You get to pick who you are. And I get why we do that. But the truth is, that's another form of slavery. You defining you, is that going to work? Because really, when you define you, you are now enslaved to your emotions, how you felt that day. Did you get enough sleep? Are you eating well? How many people liked the thing you posted? Did you look okay in that one photo? Like, you define you is another form of slavery. And our culture is screaming this at us. Our culture is screaming right now to teenagers, to children, you define you. You get to pick. And there's a lot of words for it. I'll go with bonkers. It's bonkers. What are we doing? Parents, I'm a parent. I got 3 boys, 18, 16, and 14. They are screamed at by culture about identity and about who they're supposed to be. And parents, we cannot let children drive the identity bus. They can drive a career bus. If they say, I want to be this, and I want to go do this, and I want to accomplish this, cool. I'm with you. Go do it. But the identity bus, no. This is why you have parents. This is actually part of our role. My job is to tell you who you are. Now that sounds like you're letting letting someone outside you define you. Okay, I get it, sounds like that, but there's a God piece here we'll get to in a second. My job as a parent is to say, cut out the noise. These are your people. This is where you came from. This is who you are. I don't let my kids drive the identity bus because my kids would identify as kids who don't eat vegetables, and I'm not okay with it, right? We have to be direct, and we have to help them. My point is, identity can't be pulled entirely from the outside of other people, and it can't be pulled entirely from the inside where we just go in and sort of find ourselves. If it's from the outside, we're a slave to their opinions. If from the inside, we're a slave to our own emotions. We have to go deeper than that. And I see this in all demographics. It's not just teens. It's not just young adults. All of us are struggling with this. And so how do we truly form our identity? You don't go off into the woods to find yourself. You're going to have to go somewhere else. If I want to know how my car works and the purpose of my car and the inner workings of my car, I go in the glove box and there's a owner's manual in the car, and that manual was written by people who created the car. And they go, I made the car, here's the owner's manual, this is how it works. I don't have to guess. I don't have to be a slave to my emotions about my car, because I have emotions about my car. I don't have to be a slave about, maybe it's this. No. They made it, they told me how it's made and what it does, and I follow that. If I look at a painting might occur to me a certain way, and it might kick up some feelings in me, and I might think, well, maybe the painter, maybe she was trying to do this with this brushstroke, and she was trying to do this and get this point across. Or I can go to her and say, why did you paint it that way, and what were you thinking? And then she'll tell me, and then I'll know. Right? I can look at a building and go, I think this building's for that, and I can see why these entrances are set up that way, and I see why they use the square footage, and I see the materials that they chose. Maybe it's because of this, this, and this. Or I can go to the architect and say, why did you make the building that way, and what was it for? This is how you find the purpose and identity of something. And so in the same way, for followers of Jesus, and I would argue for all of humanity, we need to go back and look at what are we for? How were we made? Why were we made? And who decides all that kind of stuff? Or are we just going to figure it out as we go? There's a foundational text I want to point you to, because I think this is going to help us. There's a pastor in New York who said this that I really like. We need to get a deep grasp of the gospel in order to be yourself in Christ. Get a deep grasp of the gospel in order to be yourself. So we got to understand this if we're going to be secure in who we are in Christ first, okay? So let me give you this foundational passage. God creates the heavens and the earth. Genesis chapter 1, he creates the world, plants, animals, all that. And then listen to what he says about humanity. Then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them, and God blessed them. And God said to them, okay, so he made them in his image, and he says to them, man and women, he says, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. So if you go all the way back to the beginning of humanity, and we see who created, why were we created, and what were we supposed to be about, we learn some things. He says, let us make man in our image. So God is speaking in an us form, right? Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. So there's something about us that is made in the image of God. That is actually a significant revolutionary idea in the history of the world. People understand the image of God imprinted on humanity has changed the world all over the place. Medicine and life and all this stuff. So we're made in the image of God, and we're made male and female. He created them. It tells us that a couple times. It makes that point. Male and female. There is an unavoidable binary to humanity. We're male and female. And you see that played out through all kinds. I got a friend who works in construction. He's like, there's male and female all over construction project. It's the way things work together. There's these complementary roles and pieces that fit together. This is the way creation is. This is how God made us, male and female, in this binary system. Now, I understand gender expression. I understand that people express their masculinity or their femininity in different ways. That's fine. Not every man has to be a lumberjack. You can like show tunes. Sing some show tunes. I like show tunes. I'm not going to do it right now, but I can bust out a few. And not every woman needs to be like some supermodel. My wife is better at carpentry than I am. She's just good at hammers and saws and, the things, building the things. She's good at that stuff. That's okay. But we can't get away from the fact that God made us in his image. We're all imprinted with his image. We're male and female. We're different. And we've been given a purpose. We're supposed to multiply, make more of us, and fill the earth and subdue it. So he's given us the raw materials, and then he says, make something out of what I've given you. I've given you everything you need on this earth. Now go make something good. Make something good out of that. So he's given us a job to do. So that's a start. That tells us how we were made and what we were made for.